Today's AskReddit post. What is the greatest comeback to an insult you've ever heard? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. Joe Pine interviewing Frank Zappa. Joe, I guess your long hair makes you a woman. FZ, I guess your wooden leg makes you a table. How does a dude named Pine have a wooden leg? What if it's mahogany or oak? Hahaha, I didn't even think about that. Good stuff. Son of a birch. That is funny. During World War I, Switzerland had a tiny standing army, but they were very skilled marksmen. Wilhelm II of Germany asked what 250k Swiss troops would do if he decided to invade with 500k German troops. The Swiss said, "Shoot twice and go home." And that, good sir, is how getting Swiss cheese got the definition we know today. It sounds right, but I don't know enough about cheese to dispute it. So anyway, I started blasting. 18th century British radical politician John Wilkes was told in Parliament by a political opponent, "Sir, I do not know whether you will die on the gallows or of the pox." Wilkes shot back with, "That depends, my lord, on whether I embrace your lordship's principles or your mistress." He's basically calling dude a scumbag and saying his girl is a dirty hoe. Or, in the words of classical poet DMX, "You whack, you're twisted, your girl's a hoe, you broke, the kid ain't yours, and everybody knows, your old man say you stupid, you'd be like, so, I love my baby mother, I never let her go." Someone yelled out in a Walmart, "I'm not ashamed of who I am." Another voice echoed back, "That's your parents' job." Back in middle school I was at Walmart with a friend of mine looking for pants. Being a tomboy, I like to wear baggy boys pants. Nor did I wear makeup. Another kid came up to me and snarkily asked PFFT, "What are you, a boy or a girl?" And without missing a beat I responded, "Why, do you think him hot?" He just got flustered and walked away mumbling obscenities. This was the 90s, so the gender question actually was insulting to my 14-year-old brain. Not the greatest, but I still hold pride for my quick wit back then. Too bad that's all gone now. For some reason everyone in high school thought I was a lesbian. So a straight dude in my grade walked by me and was trying to make fun of me gay bash and said, "Well, at least I don't like girls." I just kinda stared at him and waited for it to click. Woman shrugging. That boy is honestly stupid, but at least he is honest. I used to work with this like 70-year-old woman. She was our supervisor. And one day one of the ladies who worked with us told this old lady to kiss my ass, and the old lady replied, "Where do I start? You're so fat your crack goes all the way up your back." Gran, how many times do we have to tell you? We are not a crematorium. When you deal out sick burns like that, you can make any place a crematorium. I asked my mother why she always wears makeup despite being in her 40s. She told me she wears makeup so she doesn't look like me. Edit. I was 9. Savage. Ruthless. I always think I am hysterical when I tell people that my grandfather became ruthless after my grandmother died. My grandmother's name was Ruth. I loved her dearly, but I can't get enough of that stupid joke. A guy makes fun of his bald friend by rubbing his head and saying, "Whoa, your head is as smooth as my wife's bottom." The friend also rubs his head and says, "Whoa, you're right. That had to hurt. That's a lot of damage. That's something even flex tape can't fix." Quiet guy in my art class got called queer bait. He replied with, "If I'm the bait then you're the catch of the day." My 10-year-old cousin was pushed aside by an older student at school who also felt the need to call him a gay child. My cousin told him not to get his hopes up. "You wish" became the kryptonite to gay jokes in my elementary school for a while growing up. Do your parents know you're gay? My first exposure to a trick question. Do yours? One of my co-workers was cold calling customers, trying to get appointments to drum up business. One of them told him to go duck his hand, and he responded with, "I've got that penciled in for 3. I should be done by 4 if you'd like to come in for an appointment then." The guy laughed his ass off and ended up coming in for the appointment. Winston Churchill. Of course. Lady Nancy Astor, Winston. If you were my husband, I'd poison your tea. Churchill. Nancy. If I were your husband, I'd drink it. Winston. You are drunk. Disgustingly drunk. Yes, madam. But you're fat. And when morning comes, I shall be sober. Mayo, I think he said tomorrow I will be sober. But you will still be ugly. You sure do talk a lot for never saying anything. Double quote. In Mexico, we use the word cantinflea for that. It comes from a comedian with a long career from the 30s to the 80s named Cantinflas, and that was his shtick. Talking too much but never saying anything. I was the one insulted, but not the one with the comeback. I was out with a coworker and her friends, and my buddy and I were leaving a little too early for her sensibilities. She jokingly got up in my face and said, "Smell that? Smells like pussy." A guy playing at the pool table next to us stepped forward and said, "I'm sorry, that must be me. I just ate. It was amazing. Smooth. Goddamn. That man knew what he was doing. He was just waiting to use that line." Not heard, but read. Easily the Spartans reply to Philip II of Macedon. As Philip II of Macedon was conquering Greek city-states left and right, Sparta was left alone. Philip had achieved a crushing victory, and Sparta was relatively weak and without walls. Philip sent a message to the Spartans saying, "If I invade Laconia you will be destroyed, never to rise again." The Spartans replied with one word, "If." This is actually where the word laconic came from. Most ancient accounts make the Spartans sound like the masters of trash talk. The Persians also told them at one point their arrows would blot out the sun, and a Spartan replied that it'd be nice to fight in the shade. Also, it's a long repeated response. But when they were told to lay down their arms, their response was moln lay, which roughly translates to come and take them. My grandma asked my cousin, who'd had lots of partners and 2 kids at this point, if she was ever going to get married. Cousin, it's not the same nowadays. We don't buy cars without test driving them first. Grandma, yeah, but they don't let you put 100,000 miles on them either. Point goes to Granny. Your cousin's not a car. She's a bicycle. Well, now I'm imagining a bicycle driving a car. I've been called worse things by better people. For context, this was famously said by former Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau when he found out Richard Nixon called him an asshole. I didn't know that. That's awesome. My friend's mom said it when her son called her a bitch. That son of a bitch. A friend of mine was getting bitched at by these 2 identical twin girls in a class I had once. He replied with a troubling look on his face and said, "If you 2 are identical, how come only one of you are hot?" That dude played the long game as those 2 girls looked rather perplexed for the rest of the session. Fixed. Sorry on this topic. If you want to incite chaos, go on a girl's Instagram and find a group photo of 3 or more. Then comment, "You 2 look great." Edit. I love how my first gold is advice on how to cause legal chaos. If I knew this was the case, I would have given more tips. Edit number 2. Some people are calling me Eris. Apparently my tips for chaos came straight out of Eris's playbook. Best part is when I bought my second car, I named it after Eris because the car was chaotic, and it was going to have a red-black color scheme. I just think that's funny. Okay, Satan. Dude's a cold-blooded killer. Anything I've thought of more than an hour after the insult. The French have a phrase for this. Esprit d'escalier, or the spirit of the staircase. The witty retort you think of as you are leaving down the front steps. In German, it's Treppenwitz, which means the same thing. Eskimos have 37 words for it. Retort you think of as you're going down the stairs. Retort you think of as you're going out the door. Retort you think of as you're banging their wife. So on and so forth. The greatest comeback I witnessed was when Kumail Nanjiani was on mean tweets and someone asked, "Is your dick multiple colors?" And he said yes. Every shade of your mom's lipstick. Throwing shade. Every shade. What are you looking at? I'm still trying to find out. When I used to say, "What are you looking at?" to my mum, she used to say, "I don't know." The label fell off. I used to respond with good question. Context. John Oliver from HBO interviews Stephen Hawking. May he rest in peace. J.O. And there may be a universe where I am more intelligent than you. There may even be a universe where you are funny. I lost count of how many times I've seen that video and it still makes me laugh. The whole interview is just hilarious. Godlink. It was an exchange between two co-workers a few years back. Basically a slut shaming gone wrong. Person A had only ever slept with one person, their previous boyfriend that they were still obsessed with. Person B was the opposite and would bang a different person every week. Person A, I can't believe how many people you've slept with. I don't understand how people can have sex with someone they aren't in love with. Person B, well your ex-boyfriend seemed to manage it okay. Person A, silence as he dies inside. Edit. Yes guys, he had an ex-boyfriend. Person A was a gay man. It's not a typo. It's 2020. Cold-blooded. The classic. You all adopted, at least my parents chose to have me. Had a friend growing up who had an adopted brother a year or so younger. They would always talk shit and fight a bit here and there, and one time my friend says to his brother that he was adopted and can go duck off. He knew he was adopted, and without missing a beat he shot back at my friend, yeah well clearly you weren't enough for mom and dad. That's why they bought me. Yes, he used the word bought. Adopted. I tell my brothers that they paid for me and big money. And I'm the youngest. So they really wanted me most, lol. My younger brother and I are both adopted, but with a bit of an age gap. When he was young, I'd tell him that he'd better behave or they'll send him back. Like the other one. Glenn McGrath, Aussie cricketer, got frustrated with Edo Brandis as his every attempt to stump Brandis failed. This is what happened next. McGrath, why are you so fat? Brandis, because every time I duck your wife, she gives me a biscuit. I always liked Marsh v both them. Marsh, how's your wife and my 2 kids? Both them replies the wife's fine. The kids are retarded though. I read this aloud to my family. Daughter, how could you say that in good conscience about your own kids? Wife, I say it all the time. That joke is turning out to be the gift that keeps on giving. Edit, you may not have this guy's dead wife. My grandma got into a fight at the grocery store with a guy who told my 9-year-old brother to move the duck out of the way. They were going at it and his final words were suck my dick. Bitch, she said across the store if I could find it. Bitch. Edit, not Walmart. Even better Aldi. Grandma don't play. Haha, she's always trying to fight somebody. A friend in high school on our way to a track meet. He was staring at a car in the parking that was really nice. When this bag saw him. Bag. Why bothering looking at that when you know you'll never be able to get one, my friend? The same reason you watch porn. The entire bus erupted and it's still one of the funniest things I've ever heard. The bully had a chance to say you look at cars to masturbate. Sick duck. Not really. His pride was shattered. And everyone was probably screaming so he wouldn't have been heard anyway. Another good point. Now that you mentioned it, he did say something but nobody cared because he already lost. David Letterman, I'm not as dumb as I look. Asterisk. Tina Fey, how could you be? Asterisk. I miss Tina Fey in movies. 30 Rock made me question if I may not have a thing for older women at the time. At least 90% because she's so funny and likable. I'm gay and even though I've no attraction towards the female body, I find Amy Poehler attractive due to her charming smile, confidence and humor. Humor is a very strong attractive quality. I'm straight and I find some dudes attractive for the same stuff. Party on. I expected a better insult from someone of your upbringing and education. LOL, my mom was a librarian and pulled this one on a rude patron. Are you getting smart with me? Would you be able to tell? Savage librarians are my favorite thing in the world. If you weren't so stupid, what would you be? Asks the husband. The wife replies, without even skipping a beat. Single. Haha. Love it. Nice one. Me. We should learn from our mistakes. My friend, So that's why you have a younger sister? Greatest comeback to an insult. Greatest non-instigated insult. I said that to him after he made a stupid mistake in a highly anticipated basketball game, so I kinda provoked him. Should have added that, but duck it. Gandhi after a reporter asked him a question. Reporter, what do you think of Western civilization? Gandhi, I think it would be a good idea. But do you smell? Was out with a friend who was wearing a silly outfit. Someone came up and said, why are you wearing that? It's not Halloween. He replied with, then why don't you take off that hideous mask? When my younger brother was about 5, he would hold up a picture of an ape and say, hey, look at this mirror. To which my older brother replied, that's a picture of an ape, but I see why you thought it was a mirror. The disc for the game The Bard's Tale said, for a truly horrifying image, turn this disc over. The back was a reflective surface. What a great game. Definitely a great comeback, but not to an insult, more to an annoyance. I was a camp counselor for a few years at a summer camp. One day my group took a hike to a large rock where we had lunch. My campers were between 8 and 10 years old. This one kid we'll call Jeff keeps poking another kid we'll call Matt in my group to look at this hole in the rock. It's so cool. It's like 6 inches deep and the other kid is clearly getting annoyed just trying to eat his lunch. He keeps shoving sticks into the hole and trying to get everybody to look at it. Finally Matt just puts down his sandwich, looks at Jeff, and goes, I'll be 6 inches deep in your mom later if you don't shut up. I was trying so hard to be stern with this kid for saying something so inappropriate, but I kept cracking up. It was just such a disproportionately ridiculous thing to say coming from a 9-year-old. To be fair, those are impressive numbers from a 9-year-old, or someone on Reddit. I can't remember the best one I've heard, but I can remember the best comeback I ever did. It is also, in fact, the only good comeback I ever did. I was in 7th grade, and we were in the locker room after gym. People were discussing shoe sizes because this one kid had enormous feet. I don't know if I have small feet, but mine were the smallest. They said, small feet, you know what that means. I didn't mind too much, but one kid crossed the line. He said, don't worry, fella, there's like 10 different ways to make it bigger. So I said, have you tried all 10? Not very impressive. But it shut him up. You peaked so early. I work at a hotel. A few years ago this guest got into a spat with our security officer over something, but she wasn't getting whatever she wanted, so she told him he was full of S. Our security officer replied immediately, no I'm not. I took care of that this morning. But thank you for your concern for my good health and regularity. At this time I was about to bust up laughing, so I had to excuse myself to the back office. And as I was leaving I heard him continuing on with this lady. Deadpan. But I promise I eat a healthy diet full of fiber. It warms my heart to know you're concerned with me having regular bowel movements. So the next time I'm constipated I know you're thinking of me. It continued on and on. And all the more he's playing this deadpan and it's making the lady madder and madder. And I'm in the back laughing so hard I'm nearly crying. After that spiel was over, though, she didn't give us any more problems the rest of the night. I have also worked in a hotel. Sometimes you gotta just double down and out crazy the crazy. How appropriate. You fight like a cow. Edit. Thank you for the gold. I earned this scar in a mighty struggle. I hope now you've learned to stop picking your nose. I was bullshitting with a couple of buddies, and may have suggested that I banged one of their moms. To which said friend replied, my mom's dead. My mouth bypassed my brain and replied, that explains the dirt. Jesus dude. She was already dead. Bravo. I don't care that you broke your elbow. PFT. Overheard by me, the school bus driver. One 5th grade student was belittling a 1st grader. When it was time for a comeback, 1st grader shouts out, congratulations. The bewildered 5th grader had nothing to say and went to sit down with her friends in the back of the bus. Okay, that's kind of ducking adorable. On an Indian roast show, There were two bald twin brothers and the roaster told them, "You two confuse me on a biological level. You two look like testicles but you are both assholes." I am still waiting for an opportunity to use that. I am still waiting for an opportunity to use that. I would think you need a pair of opportunities to use it. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.